Hi, I'm Joe Murphy. I'm back to the whiteboard, and I want to talk to you today about a book I'm writing. I'm not going to try to sell you the book, but there are certain aspects of this book that I think you will find, those of you watching, very powerful as you try to reinvent yourself, keep yourself centered, and how to grow yourself. The book is about psychology, self mastery, and tapping your infinite potential. Now, in this part of the book, I want to go into 8 things that you can do that's needed for self mastery or just mastery in general. These are psychological principles, and these 8 things, I believe, will change your life. Now, because of time, I can't go into depth on each one of these, but each one of these is really deep. So let me go with the first one. This first one is self-observation. You've got to observe yourself in terms of several different things. How you're feeling, what you're triggered by, stepping back and observing the room. There's a term that I read about years ago. One of the key things that people who have achieved mastery and are very excellent at their profession, they can be in a room, in a conference room with people, and it can be a heated discussion. They can remove themselves from that discussion and float above the room and watch the dynamics from a point of non-attachment or detachment. And this way they can see what's going on, as well as how things are really not affecting them, but it's just a conversation. This is self-observation, knowing how you feel and knowing where parts of your body that are causing stress, and you can get out in front of it. And we'll talk about some of that later. The second one that I like quite a bit is conscious of your consciousness. That is being aware of your thoughts, being present enough in the now to understand that what's going on in your mind has a direct impact on how you feel and what you see in front of you. That is, it affects your perception. It also, and we all know this, causes biases. That is, it makes sometimes us only see certain things that we want to see and therefore leave everything else out. This idea of being conscious about your consciousness is a critical skill that you can tap into and develop in order for you to attain mastery over yourself, mastery over your profession. Third aspect that I want to get into is letting go of preconceptions, judgments, and your illusory sense of the self or the ego. The ego in the self tends to get in our way, and it keeps us from being fully engaged in the action that we need to take or what's going on in front of us. This idea, number 3, is really critical. I talked about this in my Leadership Academy classes every single time. If you can let go of your judgments and stop judging people as good or bad or puts them in boxes, they're this way or that way, they're this skin color, or they're male or female, or they're going to come in as a Democrat or a Republican. You can be open up to a whole new world of understanding who that person is. This is like the tip of the iceberg when we get into understanding who people are. Now, this idea of letting go of judgments is critical to your success because what we tend to do when we judge other people, we also tend to judge ourselves. And we tend to judge us harshly. Okay? Number 4, I want to talk about reframing events. Reframing events is a critical factor in your success. To be able to see this event and not think it's bad, stepping back and reframe it as, what can I do with it? How can I leverage this to help me attain my goals? And this is a critical factor, as a matter of fact, because it leads to thinking outside the box. So something that might have been first bad can be something that actually turns out to be good if you can reframe certain aspects of it. Now, this again is related to psychology and mastery. And if you can do this, you start tapping into your hidden potential. All right, number 5. Become present-centered. Where are you right now? You're not in the past. Yesterday happened already. The future hasn't happened yet. You are always here, but our mind is continuously chewing on solving problems, and it will actually create problems for you. It'll bring yesterday's problems into the present moment, and it'll bring yesterday's problems into the future. It'll create problems in the future because of your biases and your preconceptions, because if you're looking for the problem, you will find it and you'll create it. Be present-centered. This is so critical because when you're present-centered, it's the only place you can be. You can't split yourself into 2 different places or 3 different places. I had a very difficult time with this. I was always future-centered. What's going to happen in the future? And typically, and I didn't realize this, it was based upon the past. All right, if you can let go of your illusory past and your fantasized future and just stay present in the moment, you'll relieve a great amount of stress from yourself. And you'll enjoy life and become more authentic, I might add. All right, let's go to this one. This one was a big one for me that when I was doing my research, identifying your stopping points. Where do you stop? Notice with the self-observation and going through this list, being present-centered, notice where you stop or where you hesitate. Knowing where you hesitate and stop is a critical dynamic in your success because it'll tell you something about fear, about what you're concerned about, your ego, how you might be afraid to be criticized. This is a critical factor. And to sit back, to be present enough to say, what's causing me to stop? And recognizing 99% of the time, it's in your mind. Number 7, identify and relinquish self-limiting beliefs. I advise people who I work with to get a notebook and pen and write down their thoughts and keep a running journal. This thing has changed people's lives. It's a simple thing. It doesn't cost very much. You can buy a spiral-bound notebook from Walgreens or Walmart for 79 cents and just take notes. What's going through your mind? Where are you stopping? What kind of self-limiting beliefs that you have or picked up along the way from your friends, your family, the news? News is always a good one. They'll reinforce all your self-limiting beliefs and make you blame everybody else for the beliefs that you have, which are in your mind, which is ridiculous. Once you start identifying them and then writing them out, and then understanding how they're keeping you from going forward, you have one of the keys to your success to accomplishing great things and tapping into that potential. And again, this is psychology. It's based on mastery and mastery of the self and tapping into your, what I call your infinite potential. Last, this is a Zen thing. Choose what you have. Choose what you have. This is another way of saying deal with reality. Choose what you have. Stay where you are. Quit looking over on the other side of the fence. The grass can always be greener over there. They have more. Don't compare yourself to someone else. They're better. They cheated. All these things. Choose what you have. You are where you are because of what you've done and how you thought in the past. This is self-mastery. 8 critical factors to the psychology behind tapping your infinite potential. I'm Joe Murphy, and I'm back, and I'm here for your success. Thanks for watching.